mask day. Yep, I am going to just go through a couple of things about masks. Let me scoot over here. I wasn't going to do any kind of step-by-step mask making because there are so many great videos out there. But I thought, well, I'll just show you my process with mask making. I downloaded a pattern from my local hospital. And let me just straighten you out a bit. There you go. And it's St. Charles Health System. It's a very simple mask. It's not a mask like you would wear if you worked in the hospital. But I did a little bit of tweaking to it because when I made these masks, and I sent some to my daughter-in-law, telling her that there's an opening in the top for a filter to be put in. But I don't have filters, and they made it sound like you get the filters at the hospital. That is not turning out to be true. And you can use, I've heard that you can use vacuum cleaner filters, but this is, I don't know about you, but I don't have a ton of vacuum cleaner filters laying around. So I decided to just play with this mask and go ahead and try it out and then wash it, because after each use you want to be able to wash it. It's not a disposable mask, so you need to be able to wash it. And I wanted to see how it turned out after washing and drying in the dryer. And I pressed it back into shape. Naturally, it got all stretched out in the washing. And it went ironed right back into shape. So, and these long things here, you know, they can be cut to size. So I thought I would just show you how I made them, only because when we did, I think I might have shared this with you, my book group here in Sisters had a Zoom meeting, which was really fun. But I asked them, there's only like five or six of us that were attending, and I asked, did anyone want me to make a mask, a shopping mask, a mask to wear out when you have to go to your essential services? And 2 people said they would like a mask, so I am making those masks for them. The thing about it is, you know, I have a ton of fun fabric, and naturally, when I had to go make myself a mask, I chose the mustache fabric because I thought it was hysterical. But when I went into my stash to pick out fabric for 2 women that live in my neighborhood, I immediately was like, oh, this is going to be so fun. But I know how I felt a little bit reticent when I wore my mask into the grocery store. And I did wear a mask because my doctor in my telemedicine visit said I should wear a mask. And so I thought, no, I'm not going to be embarrassed about this. And then I just kind of jumped all in and made myself the mask I wanted. But when I was picking fabric out for them, I thought, oh my gosh, I had all this fun fabric, and I thought they might feel a little bit more uncomfortable with, you know, some fun fabric, you know. So then I went back and picked something a little bit more subdued. And so this is the 2 fabrics that I chose. This one has little bees in it. And what I did differently, and these are cut, they can be cut anywhere from 8-inch squares to 9-inch squares, depending on how big the face is. And it is not it's not like a medical mask that I wore in the OR that was, that had the pinch thing over your nose that really fitted, but it is going to serve its purpose. And the CDC has now been adjusting their recommendations and saying, yeah, maybe it would help flatten that curve if we wore masks when we were out in public. And they had initially not wanted Joe Blow to be wearing masks because there was a shortage of masks. But these are ones that you make yourself, and you only need one or two, and then you're going to rotate and wash them each time you use them. We're only going out once a week. I'm only going out once a week to run my errands. So I wore this mask, and when I got home, I threw it in the washing machine, and it's all ready for the next trip out. So how did I do it differently? Well, I did a couple of experiments. I thought maybe, they say you can use batiks, that those are going to be tighter weave. I didn't have the filter. I thought maybe I'd use a little piece of batting. That's way too thick, and it doesn't go back into shape after laundering. But you know how I feel about SF-101. Yeah, and it's kind of a woven, fusible piece that I have now decided is my go-to since I don't have a filter. And so the way I'm doing this is I'm just ironing it, and I'm just cutting it. I'm cutting that SF-101 just a little bit smaller than the piece I'm going to sew. And so, and I just fuse it to the back of one of my pieces. And then I put right sides together, and I come over here to my sewing machine. I'm going to just bring you around here, and I'll talk to you while I do it. And I'm going to just kind of do a 1/4 inch seam. Oh, there those glasses are. So I'm just going to do a 1/4 inch seam all the way around, leaving about a 3-inch opening. And I kind of, at the corners, I do a little back stitch. My camera battery went dead. A little more editing for G to make this work together, but I sewed all the way around my squares, right sides together, with the SF-101 Pellon on one side. And now I left about a 2-3 inch opening. I clip the corners of the mask. And then I'm going to just turn it inside out. And I'm going to use my very handy chopstick. That's one of the most important tools that you have in the sewing room, I think. Okay, so I'm going to bring this around. I hope you guys are all doing well. and that you're getting lots of stitching done. Okay, so now I'm going to use my chopstick to get the corners out. Gosh, it's going to be a cute mask. And then kind of what I do is I take a pin, or better yet, I will take my little needle driver here and pull this corner out a little bit more. Or you could use a pin. Now I'm going to iron it. So let's go back over here. I'm going to just turn the camera a little bit towards the ironing board. There we go. That's the best part of this cordless iron, is I don't have to worry about it reaching. Now I have my square, and I'm going to leave the opening side where I have that 3-inch opening on the side of the mask. And then I'm going to make a fold, and I don't measure. This is not rocket science. I just make 2 folds and fold it down. So like here I'm making a fold, and then I'll make another fold. So I've just made 2 folds like that, and I'm going to pin it just to kind of keep it in place. I cannot for the life of me find my little tools. I know they're here someplace, for making piping or bias tape, for making bias tape, not piping. And so it is a little bit more challenging for me. Like on this mask, I made it all by hand. I rolled it twice to the center, and made this bias tape. But another easy way to do it is if you have pre-made bias tape. So let me get you down here, and there we go. So with pre-made bias tape, what I can do, I have a roll on order from Amazon for a beige colored roll, because I thought, oh, that's going to be awesome. So I'm going to cut two lengths of bias tape. I don't know why I had this bias tape, but I found it different colors. I years ago must have been going to make something out of something, so I have no idea. So what we're going to do is take this bias tape, and it opens up, and we're going to fold it over the edge of the mask. So I'll take these pins out and sew down the edge, and then flip it to the back side and sew that edge. Yeah, but first I have to change my thread, because that is kind of a, I have black thread in there, and I probably should use a little bit lighter thread. Let's see, how does that look on there? You know, Us quilters kind of want our thread to be somewhat pretty. So stay tuned. I'm going to pause you here while I go look for thread. Well, it has been quite a frustrating moment, only because my sewing machine's acting up, and I have cleaned it. I have changed the needle. Well, I actually called my pocket robin and said, my machine's not working, and we can't take it in to get fixed. But she said, well, have you changed your needle? And I said, changed my needle? Well, that needle's only 5 years old. Yeah. So I changed the needle. I rewound a bobbin to match the top thread, and it's still skipping every so often, threads. So I've been going back and forth, but at least I got them usable. So here's what I did. So I folded, see, I did the little folds, and then with the binding, that bias tape, that's what I'm calling bias tape, I just put it on one side, flipped it over, and then sewed it all the way down on both sides so that it looks like this. And I have this one. Now that makes it faster to make than if you make your own bias tape, but like on mine, I had to make my bias tape. So hopefully that roll of bias tape that I ordered will be coming in. So in order to decrease the stress of excuse me, of sewing on my machine, I think I'm going to have to get my singer out. I have been listening to Brene Brown's podcast, and her latest podcast is a must listen to. It's with David Kessler, and they do address the collective grief that we're all feeling. So it is a great uplifting podcast. What can I say? I love Brene Brown. So before I go, I wanted to show you one thing. Remember I told you I was going to be making these bowl fillers. Every few days I was going to make one and fill them up, because there's actually a chapter of bowl fillers called About Home, and since we're all home, I thought I would start with that. And I got the first one done. I have not stuffed it yet, but isn't that adorable? Isn't that adorable? And this is the back, and I slid it open in the back, which I'm going to fill it with polyfill and walnut shells. And then I'm going to fuse a piece of wool over that slit and sew it, stitch it closed, and then I'll have the first one done. You plus me equals home. So cute. So during this period of quarantine, I'm going to be making a whole bowl full of this. And I did line, just so you know, I did line the back with the backing with SF101, and then the front I did not, because this sandcastle fabric is already a little thicker than, and I think it just turned out really adorable. So I'm going to be stuffing that this afternoon. And I did spend an hour today cleaning off my front porch and my back porch and putting my table runners out on my front porch table and getting it all ready to enjoy happy hour outside. And hopefully, today even though it looks beautiful out, it's just freaking cold. So today we're going to probably bundle up when we go out there. Well, thank you for hanging out. I hope you're all doing well. Keep stitching, and we shall collectively enjoy this time.
Thanks for watching.
And be sure to like and subscribe on Quilt Roadies.